So, with another PlayStation Showcase on the way, it's the season for prediction videos, and I thought I'd make one as well. Hey everyone, I'm Tiller. I make videos about assorted topics in gaming, reviews, and some tutorials here and there. I also live stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/TillerBrick. Link is in the description. So, Sony is finally going to show us more PS5 software, and I think that's great, because they really haven't shown a lot of stuff in the past few months, I'd say. The big question is, what are they actually going to show us? And I think it's important to preface this with the placement of this presentation. It's been roughly 3 months since E3, and time flies, wouldn't you know? It's been about 3 months since their presentation of Horizon Forbidden West, as well as the release date announcement at Gamescom Opening Night Live about 3 weeks ago. So, I want to get a little bit into some safe bets, some potential things that are not guaranteed, or that wouldn't be as safe, warning, and then the stuff I find unlikely. So first off, we have our safe bets. I think the safest bets are to assume we'll see God of War for the first time, as well as a little bit more on Horizon. I don't think they'll show us a lot, but I think that since the game is well on its way out the door, we will see something soon. I think God of War makes a lot of sense because that game is coming out next year, and Sony usually likes to show their cards a little bit early, assuming that God of War is not until late 2020, or late 2022. I would write off seeing anything from Insomniac and Sucker Punch, as both of those studios have releases within the past year. Insomniac has Ratchet & Clank as well as Miles Morales, and Sucker Punch has just released Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, and technically finished Ghost of Tsushima last year, so I don't think they're working on anything crazy. I don't know how many teams are at Sucker Punch, but I'd say that it's safe to say we won't see a lot from them. If we do, I'd be surprised. Another Infamous game, please, but don't think that's going to happen, so we'll have to see. So potentials are games that, or ideas that I think could show up and have a decent chance of showing up, but feel a lot less guaranteed. So, considering the description of the showcase, mainly aiming at PS5 titles, I'm unsure if that means that they will also be showcasing games that are also on PS4. This is why I would say that seeing a little bit more on Horizon or even God of War might be unlikely if we're considering that they're only showing PS5 titles. So if they are showing titles aiming mostly at PS5, then it means that, I think it was called Kena, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, is probably a game we'll see, which is also on the PS4, so I'm not entirely sure where that lands. But I think we'll also see Forspoken from Square Enix. I think it makes a lot of sense to show that here, because it is a PS5 game. And in the sea of titles announced for PS5, I think it's possible we see a little bit more on Stray, and then maybe some of Capcom's Pragmata. However, even then, I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I think Pragmata would potentially be shown at Tokyo Game Show, which brings us to the warning. Now, a lot of showcases it's very easy to get lost in the fact that it is a showcase and stop paying attention to things happening around it. So, this presentation's a little weird because it's placed a month before Tokyo Game Show, and Sony is not a developer who usually drops more than 1 to 2 first-party titles in the span of a year. And I mean like solely first-party exclusives for their system. In recent years, there have been a few scattered here and there, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot in terms of like the big AAA experiences. So, I don't know about their presence at Tokyo Game Show, but a lot of Japanese third-party games will likely be showcased there instead of here, because a lot of people are going to be watching Tokyo Game Show. If you're going in expecting news for JRPGs and games like that, I'd say hold off because it's unlikely. Additionally, Atlus does have a Persona announcement scheduled for this month. It could easily be here, and I actually do see possibility in that happening, but to put another warning, first of all, in the Atlus-like fashion we all know and love, the likelihood of them announcing a announcement is very high. And they'll do it on Twitter, and they drop a trailer a few days to weeks later. So, I don't think Atlas is going to be here. With regards to the Persona announcement, it's very obvious that it's probably Persona 4 themed, with the visual that they gave us having a yellow background and having the TV static over it, which, you know, kind of checks out as a Persona 4 themed announcement, which could either be a golden port to Switch, PS4, and PS5, or a Arena port to PC and other home consoles. However, that being said, I don't think they are going to show it at Sony's presentation. So now the unlikely. So the unlikely are things that I just don't think make any sense to expect here. They could happen, but it's such a far stretch to think that they will, just purely based on information we already have. So, I'm gonna say that Final Fantasy XVI is probably at earliest at Tokyo Game Show. We've already heard from the producer Yoshi P that if anything, they would have trouble making it to Tokyo Game Show with this game. I think for the most part, anything not directly tied to Sony and the PlayStation 5 probably won't be shown here. I know Bluepoint was acquired by Sony, and they could easily announce something like a Bloodborne remaster or something like that, but they also did just launch the Demon's Souls remake, so while it's entirely possible, I kind of doubt it'll be shown here. Also, I believe the wording for this was strictly PlayStation presentation, so anything regarding PC ports probably won't be here. In ending, I think Sony does have a decent lineup for a showcase, but I'm not totally gonna guarantee that, as I've seen some shit they've done before, and it's not pretty. I think PlayStation Experience 2017 was a pretty big disaster. At most, maybe a few new games will be shown, but the focus seems to be on PS5 software, which is very difficult to figure out, considering that all of their potential studios that I can think of off the top of my head have recently launched games, so it's kind of hard to tell whether there'd be anything else at this presentation from those studios. I don't know what their plan is concerning PS4 games, so things like God of War, Gran Turismo 7, and Horizon Forbidden West may not be on the table. Sony does have a habit of announcing games almost years in advance to the release date, so I wouldn't put it past them to announce a few things here, or even just tease something. And that'll be that. So in theory, we could see some 2023 games here, but I hope they don't do that, because I'll have to write off those games from my memory for the next 2 years. Anyways, this has been Tiller. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the PlayStation presentation.